In a criminal trial from 1993, one witness chillingly predicted the exact details of a victim's death before the body was even found, presenting a disturbing puzzle for those seeking justice.
That's right, Lily. We're looking at testimony from the State versus Sutton and Dellinger trial, specifically the proceedings from February 23, 1993. The court reporter Jenny S. Brookshire documented extensive and often contradictory statements from key witnesses, particularly Linda Dellinger, Joyce Tipton, and Bill Cogdill.
Linda Dellinger was a crucial witness. Her statements to officers seemed to evolve. The transcript shows she initially failed to mention Carolyn Weaver being present with Gary Sutton and her husband, James Dellinger, on a pivotal night. What does that suggest?
Her memory, or perhaps her candor, was definitely an issue. She admitted that she really can't remember if she told officers about Carolyn Weaver. Later, when asked about specific details of the evening Tommy Griffin went missing and Connie Branham disappeared, her recollection was sometimes vague. She said it's very possible she left out details in earlier statements. This kind of shifting testimony is a significant challenge for a jury trying to establish a clear timeline.
And there was the confusion over where her husband, James, and Gary Sutton had been. She initially couldn't name the bar they visited, but the officers seemed to supply the name Gateway or Howie's Hideaway. She claimed her husband said the waitress would recognize them from months prior when they had pierced ears, but then she contradicted herself about the specifics.
Precisely. Under cross-examination by General Schmutzer, she initially said officers told me the name of the place. Then she read from a signed statement where she claimed James told me about taking Connie there on Saturday. The waitress remembered James, Tommy, and Gary from a couple of months back, about them wearing earrings in their ears. When pressed, she clarified, "I did not know whether they were in the Hideaway or not. They told me the name of this place was the Hideaway. I did not know that name." This highlights the difficulty in separating what she genuinely knew from what she was told or inferred.
Beyond the inconsistencies, the transcript reveals some disturbing details. A rifle was found in her closet, and her husband, James, was known for trading guns. He'd even sold a gun barrel, with the rest of the gun going to James Griffin. This brings us to Joyce Tipton, whose testimony introduces a truly unsettling element.
Joyce Tipton's testimony is a linchpin here. She stated that Bill Cogdill, a friend of James Dellinger, made several precise and chilling predictions about Connie Branham's fate before her body was found. According to Tipton, Cogdill said they would find Connie and she'll be burned, and her car too. He also allegedly said she would be found like Tommy, shot with a .12 gauge shotgun.
Shot and burned in her car. That's incredibly specific. Did he say where this would happen?
Yes. Tipton testified Cogdill mentioned Sunshine Something Fork, which she identified as Clear Fork. He also, on different occasions, described her being shot in the shoulder or the face. The consistency in the details, despite the variations, is remarkable considering the body hadn't been discovered yet.
And Cogdill apparently also made a more direct personal threat to Tipton herself, didn't he?
Indeed. Tipton recounted Cogdill saying to her, "Joyce, you sure are a pretty woman. I'd hate to see anything happen to you like happened to Connie." She took it seriously enough to tell Jack Sutton, who confronted Cogdill about it.
This Jack Sutton is the same Jack Sutton who had a history of violence with Connie Branham, having hit her and injured her jaw 6 months to a year prior to this incident. And he later made that cryptic statement, "Mine and your problems are over, but I'll have to live with it as long as I live."
That's correct. Joyce Tipton's testimony links these pieces together, suggesting a complex web of relationships and potentially motives. Cogdill's predictions, Jack Sutton's history, and his unsettling statement all contribute to a very murky picture.
But Tipton also described Cogdill as generally unreliable. She said he had a reputation for being a liar, and that he'd told a lot of things about her that weren't true. How can she claim he's a liar, yet trust his predictions about a murder?
That's a central tension in her testimony. She initially thought his murder predictions were lies, but when the body was found exactly as he described, she then believed him and went to the police. The defense tried to undermine her by revealing she'd sought a contract for a portion of the proceeds before testifying for Cogdill in a separate civil lawsuit, implying her testimony was self-serving. However, the judge allowed her to explain that Cogdill himself told her to ask for payment for what he owed her.
So what did Bill Cogdill himself say when he took the stand?
Cogdill directly denied everything. He claimed he did not tell Tipton or Jack Sutton anything about Connie being found burned or shot. He also denied saying, "Mine and your problems are over" to Jack Sutton, or making any threats to Tipton. His testimony flatly contradicted Tipton's. Interestingly, he initially tried to invoke his Fifth Amendment privilege, stating, "I don't know anything," which the judge clarified wasn't a valid reason to avoid testifying, unless his testimony might incriminate him.
It leaves us with a stark choice. Either Cogdill was an incredibly lucky guesser, or he had foreknowledge of the crime, or Tipton was fabricating parts of her story, despite its chilling accuracy. This trial illustrates the immense challenge of discerning truth when witness accounts are so deeply intertwined with personal relationships, past actions, and conflicting motivations.
It's a classic example of how a courtroom grapples with credibility. When witnesses contradict each other so fundamentally, especially on details as crucial as pre-knowledge of a murder, the jury's task becomes exceptionally complex. They must weigh not just the words spoken, but the character, motives, and even the fears of each person on the stand, all documented in this fascinating transcript by Jenny S. Brookshire of the OCR 4th Judicial District, State of Tennessee.
If you found this discussion thought-provoking, consider sharing it with someone who appreciates a deep dive into complex legal cases.